Man, is that the Reaper Man?
That's the Reaper Man.
Marijuana.
I believe he's losing his mind.
I think he's lost his mind.
Reefer Madness Radio.
What is up, everybody? How is it going? We are 3 days into 2014, and it is a brave new world.
It is indeed. Brave New World. I like that, Mark. I wasn't expecting you to say that, but it is. I love that. It's a brave new world. And here in D-Town, we are celebrating.
Yep. Colorado is now allowing for recreational sales. If you are over 21 or over, and you have a state ID or a passport, you're able to come in and buy. You'd probably be limited to a quarter of an ounce. If you're outside of the state, you could probably buy as many edibles as you want. Inside, if you have a Colorado ID, you might still be limited to a quarter of an ounce. Technically, you would be able to legally buy up to an ounce. Whew. And I'm exhausted.
You know what? I'm really excited because we have you here tonight, Mark, and you've been literally on the forefront of this. You know, I always like to say that in our community here in Denver, over the last year, we have literally been on the forefront of the social experiment, right? On the forefront of change in our society, right? But as of Wednesday, the front line was clearly defined, and you, my friend, you were standing on it. You were on the front lines, man. So I'm really excited to talk to you about the experience over the last couple of days.
Yeah, man, it's been. I keep wanting to be like, I'm so surprised, but then I'm like, because we have just been. I mean, if I don't know if you've been living in a shell the last few days, but if you love cannabis half as much as I do, if you have any sort of outlets to media at all, a TV. I think people. Thanks to everybody that, by the way, that said they saw me live on CNN packaging or bud tending in the background. I actually called my mom. She has a VCR recorded.
That's so cool.
She saw me
That's
live. We have just been busy, crazy busy. Lines, waits for hours, just over. I think I said on a little clip from Citizen J that we've been overwhelmingly busy. Like almost though. We've hung tough, I guess you want to say. But I mean, we've just all been working 12-hour days. Hard to take breaks. It's just been going at it. Just like I said, just busy. Just so tired.
You know what? If you've been watching the news or driving around in Denver, then you've just seen the lines. It's crazy. The lines on January 1st were, 1,000 people deep, and there were only a handful of dispensaries open on the 1st. I think the final count was somewhere around 25 or 30.
Yeah, I think Weed Maps had a list.
Yeah,
and Colorado Normal had a list.
And they put it in Westward.
Sure,
even the Denver Post put a list out, right? There were plenty of places to go, but at every place that was reported on, the lines were just crazy deep with people. Right?
Yeah, I mean, we opened at 8 a.m. The 1st, thinking that would be the only day. We just opened at 8. It's historic. Let's start the day off on the 1st. Let's be one of the first dispensaries, and have since decided to continue opening at 8, through tomorrow, just to try and accommodate as many people as we can.
And the lines, I'm sure, have been persisting because they were just as long yesterday at Evergreen, as far as I could see.
No, I mean it's day 3, and I thought that it was I was getting there at 7:00 in the morning, and there was people outside. The first lady on Wednesday, I guess. And there were like 3 live cameras and a photographer there. I think it was something like 2 in the morning is when she got there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember reading about that. It's crazy.
And equally probably other places had long lines and people waiting for hours. And then as the day went on, the lines didn't really get shorter; they got longer, and we ended up having to turn people away. I mean, it's just.
And you know what? It's funny because there has been some frustration, and it tickles me a little bit because I want to point out before I say anything about that the overall feeling is free. We're free. We got legal weed, but I have heard a few people complaining about the price and the wait. but it's only a few people, right? The couple of folks that I actually got to talk to yesterday, they came from Milwaukee. They drove out here. They were waiting in line for a couple of hours. They were so excited. They couldn't wait to get in. I asked them, did you have any idea what you wanted or what was inside? They had no idea. They didn't know what to expect at all.
No,
right?
I mean, because having never been into a dispensary, you don't know. You think it's going to be like alcohol, maybe. You go to a liquor store and picking up this bottle and that bottle, and then going to the front counter with a handful of stuff if you want to.
But no, it's not like that at all. It's really just like going into a medical dispensary, except.
But what's that like?
Exactly.
I'm trying to compare it to something that people do. Like
I
it's
tried to
like,
explain to someone online
it's
today.
going
who
into
was-
Subway. It's like going into your local soup shop. I mean, it's like
kind of. There's a menu, but like in Amsterdam, you go up to my experience is you go up to a bar, they hand you a book with pictures and prices and descriptions, and you say, "Oh, I'd like to try this," and you pay your $10, and they bring out a gram or whatever it is, right? That was my experience. But here, you go up to the counter. There's a menu on the wall. There are jars to look at. The bud is right there. There are indicas, sativas, hybrids, and that's just the flowers, right? And I saw an 83-year-old woman yesterday walk in and buy weed for the first time at the clinic, an 83-year-old woman. That is awesome. And she was saying, I have no idea what to choose, right? So, imagine you go into this place, just the flower selection alone is crazy, but then there's tinctures and lotions and edibles and candies, and there's topicals and there's sublinguals and dermal patches. I mean, it goes on and on and on.
yeah, that quarter ounce is flour. You can add edibles to that. So we've had people spend hundreds of dollars. There have been people complaining. There have been people like the way at first we were like, oh my gosh, it's so surprising. There's so many people that want weed. Oh wait, never mind. Like it's cannabis. I love it so much. It's like I expect. Why wouldn't everybody? Like if you're walking down the street and you see this long line, you're like, you ask somebody in the line,
Yep.
what's the line for? And they're like, oh, you can buy weed in here.
Yeah.
They're just gonna get in line. Oh sweet, let's get in line.
There is.
Why are we surprised? Like,
There is still, though, a little bit of taboo, and people are nervous. I went to, there was one dispenser I went to yesterday, and nobody wanted to talk to me in line. Nobody wanted their picture taken. Nobody wanted to have anything to do with any kind of media. And some people are like hiding their faces. I'm like, it's legal.
it's legal, people.
Right? But I understand it's kind of culture shock. It's like when I have family and friends come and visit over the last couple years. Oh my God. You might not get this back.
It looks so
Can I have a little
Jay
pinch of
Ray.
it?
What's up, Jay Ray?
Okay.
so dank.
But people get nervous, and you have to remind them. You're in my house. It's legal. You're not going to get in trouble. No one's going to come knock on the door. My neighbors are cool. Right?
You know what's great about Colorado weed, right? Is we've taken the paranoia out of it.
I have to say, to an extent,
'Cause it's legal here.
You're right. To an extent, you're right, Mark. Like, my paranoia level went way down when I became a card carrier, right? Because all of a sudden, my wife even was like, "You mean you're legal now? So that I don't have to worry anymore?" I was like, "That's right. You don't have to worry anymore. There's nothing to worry about."
Yep. Yeah, and now there's been these long, I don't know. It's been crazy waits, and I guess I do feel bad for like the medical marijuana patients that had this model and it was great, and now their favorite dispensary is jam packed
Do
with
not
people.
feel bad for those folks. They paved the way, and their choices have not been limited. They've been expanded. Their rights have been expanded.
It's more like this week for a medical marijuana patient that's used to the status quo. Things are going to be a little rough, but I expect things to start getting back to normal.
If
very
you're
soon.
not expecting what's going to happen in the month of January 2014, then you haven't been paying attention, and you have no one to blame but yourself.
And I would not like anyone to say, "Oh, I wish it would have stayed medical." I'm like, why? Why would you like? I mean, why would
Because
you not
people
want
are-
safe, consistent legal
they're
access for
feared.
all adults?
They're afraid. That's it. It's just fear. They're afraid, right? Either that or they've been convinced by someone that swag is somehow good for you. Man, I have to say, I saw something.
I read that article.
You
Yeah.
read that article in
I
the
don't-
Village
It was
Voice?
not on the Onion. It was actually on.
No, it was the Village Voice out of New York, right? The Village Voice.
It had to have been some sort of like, we've got to write some sort of like
You know
controversial
what? It was
counter
just
argument.
no. It was just nostalgia. I understand where the guy's coming from, right? I'm from back east, so I totally get
I have still smoked more swag. I mean, I spent more years smoking swag
than anything else.
than I've
right?
spent smoking nugs. Because I mean, you know, I've
I'm
spent.
about right there almost.
I've only been in Colorado for 3 years. I was 29 when I moved to Colorado.
I was
I spent most of my 20s smoking swag.
also 29 when I moved to Colorado.
It sucks. Wow. I know. You feel bad for me.
I've been smoking nugs since I was 17.
Since you're 17. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god! And I think someone's spoiled.
I'm 31 years old.
Spoiled 31-year-old.
Dude, we even got Nug back in Texas.
You know what? If you wanted Nug in DC, then you had to know somebody who knew somebody, or you knew that buddy. And I once got to meet that person, and he was a Jamaican guy. I did. I broke his
He
bong.
broke his
Right?
bong.
He was a Jamaican guy, you know, and he was pretty. What's the word I'm looking for? Man, he was like coiffed, you know? His hair was styled, his clothes were immaculate, he was wearing bling, you know? He lived in the like a posh part of Washington, D.C., in a nice apartment on the 8th floor, man, with a view of the Capitol. And I mean, this guy was living large, right? Yeah, and then we broke his bong. Terrifying. Yeah.
J Ray, what, like, you know, you're trimming all day. What have you noticed, like, a difference and it goes wreck? Like, what's the trim room? What's going on there? What are people talking about?
It's really crazy in the trim room, like it always has been ever since I started working. But I do notice that it is getting hectic, you know, behind me as I'm trimming. There's people doing all kinds of extra stuff that
seem a
we're
little
not used
hectic?
to. Yes, very.
Because it's like, it is this kind of like a, you know, we're doing this for the first time. It's kind of not, we don't have a system
Yeah.
down. I'd like to think that we're doing it sort of like in a good way that we can, you know, make little improvements on. But yeah, it's like, I think I made the, you know, analogy, I guess, on Facebook that it's like, this is like a newborn baby, right? Like it stinks
Such a
more.
good analogy.
It stinks more than you thought it would. It's more expensive than you thought it would. Like you're getting less sleep than you really expected.
But as time goes on, it gets better.
It's going to get better.
Sure,
It's gonna
and
get
you know
better.
what? It's always been an evolving thing, and it will continue to evolve. The whole situation on the medical side and on the recreational side, not only here in Colorado, but everywhere. So I want to just mention two things. You guys, last week I was in the throes of just being really sick, and I was unable to pull it together. And so, because Mark was traveling home for the holidays, I'm sorry. It was totally my fault we didn't have a show last week. So I want to apologize for that. I'm really sorry that didn't happen.
Son of a bitch. I'm just kidding. I thought it would be a little awkward there for a second.
And then
no,
but
dude,
the other
it's-
thing I
we're
wanted to
good,
say
man. It's all
to
good.
get back on this is that you know, I passed something around today on Facebook that was like, you know, Black Friday, there were like 24 riots and a death and all these arrests, right? On the first day of legal weed in Colorado, not a single riot, not a single fight, no arrests, no big accidents.
Yeah,
right.
haven't heard
I
any
did
statistics
notice
on
that
people
the
getting
sky
arrested
might
or-
be falling down this weekend or something. You know, we might see some snow or something, but I think that's about the extent of
The
it.
zombies are coming. No, I mean it's going to happen. And as someone that works in a dispensary that has started the recreational sales on January 1st, like it's tiring, but it's really exciting. And it's kind of like having a newborn baby. Like, you know, we could wait and adopt a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, and things would be a little easier. But it just wouldn't be as fun. You know, it wouldn't be as. Actually, I hate to say that because I totally condone adoption of kids and dogs. And
Hell
You know what
yeah.
though?
But
It is
you know, you
kinda
get what I
like that,
mean. Like
Mark,
it's like
because the medical.
I am excited to have opened on January 1st, even though, you know, we've learned a lot and you know it's been a lot of work. But it's cool. It's exciting. This is awesome.
You got to live to learn.
Oh, I mean, who has not been sitting around smoking weed talking about what it's going to be like when it's legal? What's it going to be like when the stores you can do? How are we going to transfer, you know, who's going to be the one that's going to take the weed from the grow to the retail. Like, I mean, 10 years ago, I was thinking about that. Like, we're gonna need vehicles or maybe armored cars, but are armored cars would they transport, jewelry? Would they do weed? You know what I mean? Like now there's a system of transports and manifests and blah blah blah.
And they're
it's cool
going to work
see it.
more. The industry is just going to grow.
It's getting so complicated.
Every state's going to have its own regulatory system. The industry in every state, it's going to have its own support, its own accessories. Like there really are just so many possibilities for jobs. And if you've got the idea, then you're going to make it big. A case in point is my friend Giddy Up, right? He owns Emotech. They came up with a closed loop system, right? They're going to clean up. Right. Anyway, blah blah blah. If you've got the right idea in any industry, I don't care if you're an archaeologist or sell ice cream. If you've got the right idea, people are gonna flock to it, right? So
yeah, it's cannabis. We should not be surprised. It's busy.
There's going to be a lot of opportunity.
It's crazy. So yeah, like. Our price is $50 for a top shelf eighth. In the tax, which is something we should mention, because on this show we definitely spent some time talking about how we were going to vote against it, and we did vote against it, and we didn't think it was right for Colorado. It's actually lower. The actual price at the register is lower than I thought it would be. I expected it to be over 30%, and it's like 21.22%.
Which I think is actually reasonable.
Reasonable.
So, and my reaction is, is what it should be. You're buying legal weed, right? You're buying legal weed. And the people that I've spoken to in line or coming out or making their purchases, however you want to, they are happy that the prices aren't that bad, right? So, I don't think anybody's really complaining. Also, the few complaints I have seen, like I saw a couple of people saying, "Oh, all those people who voted for those taxes, how does it feel paying for those $70 eighths?" Right? I'm like, you know what? When I moved to Colorado, I spent $50 for an eighth, and if it was really dank, I might even spend $100 for an eighth. This was back in 1997, and if you got like really good grown stuff, right? It was expensive for an eighth, right?
What's eighth in Texas?
60.
Right?
See, I do not get these people that say they know guys with $30 eighths. Or like that medical
Maybe
patients.
if you know the grower.
And medical patients saying, "Hey, I get $15 eighths."
You know it's shitty.
I'm like, yeah, it's either shitty. I mean, industry, it seems like $5 a gram is probably the cheapest you're going to get if you're straight up paying for it.
You
for
should
buds.
not be going into a dispensary
you know.
and expecting to pay wholesale prices. You really shouldn't. If you know the grower, if you that's one thing. And I personally believe that everyone is entitled to work out their own deal on their own.
I see nothing wrong with $10 to $15 grams.
I don't either.
I mean, there have been people that I've heard raise it up to 70. I mean, the idea was to put it at 50, and then we could lower it if need be, and then we shouldn't ever have to raise it. And considering the demand that we have,
it's far exceeding that.
You're not really going to have an argument for, we should have lower prices. Like, really?
It was like they had $1 million day.
Yeah, it didn't look like anybody was
I've heard
turning
triple
around.
figures, and I don't think anybody did six figures.
You know how
I don't know.
They blow everything out of proportion.
I don't think
I'm
anybody
sure.
did six figures. If somebody can show me proof, maybe, but I don't think in a single day. Actually, so in Denver, state of Colorado, you can legally open 8 to 12. Denver and like Colorado Springs said, no recreational sales at all, no dispensaries. Denver said yes, but 8 to 7, not 8 to midnight.
So, Mark, how many people did y'all serve?
The first day, I think it was 359 was the
There
number
you
of
go.
transactions. The second day was a little bit more.
And
Did you guys get any medical patients in?
Yes, we did. We were sending. We have 2 dispensaries, and the second dispensary is less than a mile, and that's medical only for now. And we were sending people over to that one. Some people were still upset about that.
we're just trying to accommodate.
We're trying to accommodate
the folks
the
that
huge-
are coming into town, and it's a special thing. It's not going to be a forever thing.
A lot of medical patients. I mean, the week before we were crazy busy with medical patients, and a lot of them were saying, hey, I'm stocking up because I know that I'm not the first week of January. I don't really want to come in shopping. You can, as a medical patient right now, the way we're doing it is you can wait in line and you can buy your medical products, 300 milligrams. You can buy 2 ounces, whatever, as a medical patient. But we're not letting you cut in line yet. Moving forward, probably Sunday or Monday, the idea is that we will have a medical bud station and then a rec bud station, maybe a combination, because on the computer, you essentially can, on the point of sale system, you have the retail and the medical. So you could, in the computer, just switch over to the retail and do the transaction, switch back over to the medical and do the transaction. You just have to know as a bud tender that, are they from in-state or out-of-state, rec, medical, and not sell them anything that they can't have. Because if you're from rec, 100 milligrams is the most you can get in an edible. Whereas medical, you can get as much as you want. 300 milligrams, I think, is the most I've ever seen in edible.
Yeah, I think 300 is. All right, we're going to have to take a break here.
There's
in
so
a
much
second.
to talk about. It's just
It's crazy. It's really hard to stay on track. But I did want to ask this because we're about to take a break, and I wanted to mention Medically Correct and the Incredibles bars. And I've seen a lot of empty shelves when it comes to those. Are the edibles really popular, and how are those Incredibles bars?
The edibles are really popular, but at this point, Evergreen does not have them. I don't think they didn't come in time. I don't know if we will be getting them soon. I think Colorado Harvest Company, January 10th is when they're going to start their rec sales, and they'll probably be having them.
I tell you what, I got to try
because those 100 milligram bars would be. I mean,
they're
people are going
perfect.
to love them because the peach, the blueberry, strawberry, and there's like.
Did you get to try the Pop Rocks
and
one?
It should
for
still
the
be
New
right
Year?
around that $9, $10, $11 for one, or less even. No, but we still have one left on the shelf, and I'm like, I want to, let a patient have it, but it looks so good.
All right, you guys, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to try to be a little bit less frenetic.
This segment was brought to you by The Farm, a medical marijuana care center located at 2801 Iris Street in Boulder. The Farm carries premium, cannabis, edibles, and Hummingbird brand products. Visit our new cannabis lifestyle store for your local artesian glass, vaporizers, and hemp clothing. The Farm has been serving Boulder since 2009. Isn't it time you come and see what we have to offer?
Whether you are a commercial grower or cultivate as a hobby, No Dough Urban Garden Supply is Denver's first stop for your hydroponic grow needs. With a wide range of products including House and Garden, Botanicare, and Fox Farm, their knowledgeable staff can get you started on your first garden or help you with your well-established business. No Dough Urban Garden Supply is located in downtown Denver at 1330 27th Street, 4 blocks north of Coors Field near MMD of Colorado. They are open 6 days a week from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Call 303-296-3424 or visit them on the web at www.nodoughurbangardensupply.com.
I'm Gary Johnson, and you're listening to iCannabis Radio, and I want to say, talk it up, Colorado.
Right on. So, yeah, there are a couple things we did want to mention. There are some dispensaries that are letting members and patients, get in and get in there first. And then we've been, some have decided not to, But, yeah, call. Especially if you're a member, call your dispensary. Because like I said, we're, over at Colorado Harvest Company, we're really not too busy. And it's, big waiting room. There's plenty of space. So, and your member benefits apply there. So it's not like we're giving people a better option. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, probably there are medical patients that are still upset that they're not able to just walk into their normal friendly dispensary like they were before.
But
things are crazy. Like
treatment. That's
yeah,
what
there are
they're looking for. Anybody who complains like that on the first week of 2014, they are
living in a hole for 16 months.
Right? They're just looking for attention, right? Because they've got to understand. You know what? I was really worried about just trying to get footage on January 1st. I had no intention of making any purchases on January 1st, but my mother-in-law, she wanted to go and see what the scene was, right? So I took my wife and my mother-in-law, and we went to a couple places, and we just kind of went to the front of the line and said, "Look, we don't want to make a purchase. We just want to look inside and see what it looks like really quick." And everyone was totally cool about it. They were like, "Right on, have a look," right? And so, my mom-in-law, she has a walker, and we kind of walked her in there, and she was like,
Mom-in-law.
oh, this is really cool, kind of overwhelmed by the whole thing. And then that was it, and I took some quick footage. And then yesterday, I went back to a few of the same dispensaries, and they were really happy to see me, and they let me come in to take video. But again, I wasn't there to make a purchase. I really felt strongly I didn't want to jump the line, right? Because the line was huge, and I didn't want to even let anyone think that I was jumping the line.
It was chaotic. I mean, we had an armed security guard at the front door. And we had numbers. Originally, we were
He was
starting
very
with numbers.
nice.
He was very nice. He's a cool guy. He's a really cool guy. I mean, we have security. Dispensaries have security.
You need that. I mean, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah. So, and order was kept. We had heaters out front. We had carpet out front. We bought speakers. We're about to install music, so it's out front. We had the space next door set up, for people to hang out and wait. We're giving people numbers and allowing them to leave and go home, call, update on Facebook. We tried our very best to accommodate hundreds of people, but there are places open till midnight because Denver says 7 p.m., but the state of Colorado said you can be open till midnight. So if the city allowed it, what was it? We need to say what they were. Sheridan, they're in Sheridan. What were the dispensaries that were open, Chris?
Northern Lights.
Northern Lights.
And Bud Med. They're open till midnight. So if you're 21 or over,
there you go.
11. I think that's crazy because I've always been used to 7. You got to be in. Final transaction has to be done 6:59. Like
Edgewater, that's why.
Yeah. Oh, Edgewater and yeah, because
It's the city of Edgewater.
they're it's like a different city.
They're on Sheridan in Edgewater by
Not
Sloan.
Glendale. I would think that the Glendale. They seem like they're all about.
I don't know that there is one in Glendale. No, I
What
believe
about
there is not.
Is it the medical, the one there on Cherry and?
Yeah, that's Nature's Best.
There are plenty
on
of dispensaries
Cherry
that are
and Mississippi, and they are strictly medical for now. They may open up later, but I think right now they're just.
I think both River Rocks are still medical, but will switch. Kind Love, I heard at least last I heard, they come out and said they are staying medical.
Right,
medical
Kind
only.
Love has been
Which is in
really
Glendale.
strongly adamant about it, and
they
I
got-
think
they
they
got good- yeah.
Oh, I love Kind Love. I've been to a lot of dispensaries, and I will continue to go to a lot of dispensaries because it's just so much fun. Somebody asked a question though about the state of Southern Colorado cannabis. I know that Pueblo will have a few recreational places open. I believe Marisol down there is hosting Tommy Chong at some point, or maybe that already happened. But nothing in Colorado Springs. It's a lot of people if they want recreational, they're gonna have to go to Woodland Park, or they're gonna have to. It's another place. Or where's the other one? Is it Fair? No. Do you remember, Chris? The other one out there on the west,
Not sure.
in the south. Yeah, it's Pueblo basically is the hub, and but that's pretty convenient if you're in Trinidad and places south. You can come up from Raton, New Mexico. It's pretty easy. If you're, in the Middle Park, you can get there. And then Telluride will serve places like Durango and Cortez.
Yeah, come
Alamosa.
ski,
Yeah.
smoke some weed.
Yeah.
Yep. There are places in the ski towns. Breckenridge has places open. I believe Silverthorne has a place open.
I was
You know
about
what?
to say.
You know what? If you are coming to Colorado to go skiing at Breckenridge and you don't expect to pay a little bit more for your bud in the ski village, then you're kind of just ignorant,
You know,
right?
like a-
I mean, you come to Denver first and you buy your booze here before you drive up to the mountains, don't you? If you don't, then you don't think about that stuff anyway. So whatever.
Or anything, anything in a resort town, right? It's just going to
Right.
cost
If
more
you need
money.
a pair of gloves, a pair of socks, forget about it.
Yeah, you don't forget about
it.
I used to think, and I would expect that legal cannabis would be cheaper to grow and sell than illegal cannabis, just because of the
A lot
cost
more
of prohibition.
environmentally friendly too.
But-
get them out of the freaking national forests.
But you're paying for the retail environment.
that's okay. It's all good.
That's what I'm saying. Like it makes sense that if you're going to come to Colorado and buy safe, consistent, legal weed, why would it cost $25 an eighth?
It's not even that much. Like I said, the
$50
the
an eighth.
recreational stores are what I paid on the black market when I got here. When I first got my red card, I was still paying about $400 an ounce.
It's
When
50 an eighth, 90 a quarter is actually what our prices are, by the way.
Okay, so it fluctuates. The price will fluctuate. It's January 3rd.
Oh yeah. Plus we have a coupon in the Westward for
Yes.
$25 an eighth. Right, there are coupons out there. There's weed maps. You can get
That
coupons.
too.
Spend $35, get a free dab, 100 milligram edible. Like there are coupons out there. There are deals to be had. Like
Sure, there are
demand.
and in the
there'll
coming
be
months,
things.
more and more. In the coming weeks, even more and more dispensaries will open. The place
But the
where
menu
I'm a
price
member,
will never be 20
right.
or 25.
If you don't know where I'm a member at the Ganja Gourmet right now. Right, so the Ganja Gourmet is going to open up a recreational window. Hopefully. Sometime I think by the end of January, mid-February, they're thinking, and I hope so too. I can't wait, and I'm gonna like totally check that out, right? And they're just my point is more and more every week we're gonna see more open up. So as more open up, there'll be more supply. The hype will die down. It's gonna take a little while, I hope, but someone was saying to me something about, I hope it dies on. I'm like, have you ever been to Amsterdam? And this is no longer
so much better than Amsterdam.
right? This isn't Amsterdam. This is Colorado. This is legal weed. This is go up to a bud tender and get what you want.
I think we have at least 20 strains up on the shelf that you can pick from. Right. There's $50 options. There's a $145 or $245s and a $40 option as well. The grapefruit, $40 an eighth. Plus tax.
Someone's asking about the national forests and parks. Are the rangers arresting for cannabis and carrying federal charges?
The national park is federal land.
Yeah. That means, and so is the national forest, right? So
But the
all of the ski resorts.
Can we designate the park from the forest? The forest is a lot less maintained and staffed and funded than a national park.
This is true.
So generally speaking, I don't
Look
know.
at,
I want to have some.
I would say
I would not-
this
I
to
don't
answer the question. Okay, the ski resorts are all in the national forest, right? It's federal land. In the first part of all of them,
There's not one ski resort that is entirely privately owned.
Not not in Colorado. They all are on federal land. If you're coming to Colorado, you gotta always be chill. You've always had to be chill. There's an etiquette on the slopes, and if you don't know it, then you should learn it before you flaunt it.
But the
okay?
federal government is not coming after us.
Look
It's
at
just that
in the
there are
first
laws
couple
that
of
you need to
months of
abide by.
2014, I would be very, very careful because the eyes are watching and people are going to be looking. There's always been cannabis on the lifts. There's always been cannabis in the trees and on the slopes. I mean, hell, I'd hit my dugout going down the slopes on my, just put your poles under your arms, man. Right? Yeah. So you've always been able to get away with it as long as you were discreet, subtle, right? But this year, they're afraid of the reputation. The Rangers are going to be looking for it. So be smart about it. Be chill about it. Be extra chill about it because you've always had to be smart, but now it's like the DWI people are looking for you, right? The cops are going to be in the first few months. If you are coming to Colorado and you're driving around in out-of-state vehicles, just like my friends who drive through Kansas get pulled over and profiled, if you come to Colorado with out-of-state license plates in January of 2014 and you don't expect to be maybe asked about cannabis behind the wheel, then you're just not using your head. You're just not thinking.
Yes, it's not like the same things don't apply. Like you probably shouldn't be smoking blunts in your car right before you drive it.
Right. Or while you're driving it.
You
or
might want to have a different smoking shirt before you get in your car and go to work. Like you're going to want to be a little discreet.
The point is,
like,
right, the
nothing-
rules have
what's really
always been
changed?
the rules. Nothing's changed except no one's going to be like pounding down your door
No,
anymore,
right now there's open container laws. Like you have to have your medical cannabis or your retail cannabis in a child-resistant and child-proof packaging as it leaves. On CNN Live, it's like they were doing like every hour, they were doing like a live thing. And they kept showing me as I was like heat sealing these child-proof bags as people were leaving. Like that was what I was doing for a couple hours the first day. And it's like then you're still supposed to. There are open container laws in your car, right? Like you can't have the weed open, but like sitting next to you or something. But I don't. That's not any different than it was before.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, open container. That's just. It's not like you're smoking it just because it's open. Well, it's like,
Just
it's
have
the
to
same
be-
as it always is. But they just had to kind of have this
To
weird
be
law
an
now.
adult about it. It's for
Yeah.
adults in
Yeah.
Colorado. If you're 21 and over, you're
And if you
considered
can't
an
stand
adult.
up and
You're
pass
an
a
adult,
field sobriety test in front of a police officer, then you shouldn't
Yeah.
be driving.
right?
Regardless.
Regardless.
So what are we
That's
all
right.
worried about? Like, I don't
We shouldn't be. We just need to be chill.
Yeah.
So it's always
Business as usual.
been take your chances anytime you're dealing with the feds. You go to the airport, you're dealing with the feds. You always take your chances. I don't care what anybody tells you. You go camping in a national park, you take your chances. There could be a ranger or a camp host with a bug up their ass. You take your chances. You never know. National forest, there are a lot less rangers. And if you're out on BLM land, you're basically in wilderness, and you're not going to see anybody unless you're on a trail or something, and you can see them coming. The point is, I've smoked joints walking down 58th Avenue in New York City. Okay, I've smoked joints outside Macy's in New York City, right? All through Central Park, in Baltimore City, in Washington D.C.
Baltimore
I smoked
City?
weed on the White House lawn in Washington D.C. when I lived back there. Okay,
When is this?
I moved out of D.C. in the late 90s. This was sometime in the 90s when Mr. Bill was still in the. The point is, you can do what you want, people, as long as you are discreet about it.
Be smart.
Thank you, J. Ray. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have brain.
So yeah, there are a few places you can smoke. Like at your hotel, it's probably fair to ask. It's not like you have
No,
to be paranoid
I wouldn't.
about that.
I wouldn't ask if you
you
unless you're in a
should.
smoking hotel.
Why not? When you're calling to find a hotel, when you're calling or looking
if you're
online,
looking for a hotel,
if you
sure.
look for a hotel, call up. Can I smoke
And you know what?
cannabis in my room?
There are some places in Colorado, in Denver specifically, that you will be able to do that. But you might not want to.
What's the one downtown with the balconies and everything?
Okay, let me just say, yes, it's the Warwick, but it's not that they have a policy; it's that they have balconies, and they're not going to kick you out, but they don't want it. They don't want you doing that there. It's like everybody thinks there's this hotel where you can go. No, it's just that there's this few places where it's they've got good fans in the bathroom, or maybe there's a balcony in each room, and
I would not. Then I say that, but if I was in a hotel room in Denver, and I had not asked, and I was just hanging out in the hotel room, I would probably just smoke weed. I really wouldn't. I would try not to set off the smoke alarms, and I would try not to have it stink outside. And I would leave the room in a clean fashion, as I always do in a hotel.
That's how it goes
nothing
down.
has changed, people.
Nothing has changed. Yeah.
If you don't know what I'm talking about and you really need to know some skills, I'm going to be putting together a 3-page pamphlet coming out very soon on Amazon.com. All you got to know, I'm just kidding. But if you really need to know, how to smoke weed while you're traveling, just hit me up, man. We'll have a convo. about
Yeah, I mean, you
dialogue.
can fly into Denver, come hang out. I mean, there were definitely some people from out of state. There were plenty of people from in-state that either
Just as excited
that either maybe the red card expired, maybe they didn't feel comfortable going to the doctor, maybe they didn't think they had a legitimate, maybe they're under Colorado law they didn't have a legitimate reason to have medical marijuana. A lot of reasons, whatever. But one main reason I kept getting was that people were afraid of being on the medical marijuana registry. They were afraid of being on a list.
There's
I'm
no
just
list as far as I know.
I mean, there is sort of. Like, you can give a police officer your card, and they can confirm that it is your card. They can. I think there's they can search by a number and confirm that it's not been revoked yesterday.
It's got to be.
Oh, for medical?
For medical.
Yeah.
Yes, but for
Yes.
recreational.
No, but that's what I'm saying. People that have said they do not want to sign up for medical marijuana because they don't want to be on that list.
Oh,
And
you
I
know
just
what?
don't
I
really-
understand that. I had
It's
some,
HIPAA law.
I had
Like,
some.
What would you be afraid of?
Because HIPAA law is not foolproof, is what. it boils
Okay,
down to.
sure, but
Look, I have some neighbors. They're in their 70s and 80s. And I'm like, you're in your 70s and 80s. If the government wants to put you away, right? It's not going to be because you want to
federal
smoke
government
weed.
is not interested in going after people that smoke.
Right. And if the federal government gets their cues. Actually, every government gets their cues from us. I've been saying this for a long time. People, start talking to your Congress, your PTA members, okay? Stop spending my tax money on cannabis prohibition. Stop spending my tax money on people in jail. Stop spending my
Please.
tax money on SWAT team equipment. Stop spending my tax money on more officers, or train them to stop going after cannabis. Get the police out of the cannabis business and get the prison business out of our government, right?
That's almost like a
All
separate
right, you
issue.
guys, check it. It is 7:10. On that note, thank you, Chris. It's 7:10, and I do believe
Jay will
it's
hit a
time
dab.
for a dab.
Let's do it. That was one of the main reasons we decided to do a 6:30 show. Is like we were like, yeah, let's do it at 6:30. We'll have 7:10. Yeah, but we don't really. It's never like it's.
No, we do every show. It's consistent, like totally consistent. We never miss it. Never.
That's awesome, you
Ever since
guys.
the
That's awesome.
We don't. Only if Chris reminds us.
Thank God for producers.
I bet he does remind you a lot.
Okay, this is crazy. There we go.
So I always tell people that the Bed Bath and Beyond torch was a good investment because it's only $30 for this full torch.
Yes.
But I got this in July. It's my second one that I bought in the last year and a couple of months, and they last about 6 months, and then it goes out.
I've had my
And there's no
Vector for
warranty.
more than a year.
I can't take this back to Bed Bath and Beyond.
You don't think $30 is worth 6 months?
How much is a Vector if it lasts for 5 years or some other, what other?
Okay.
Okay, look, first of all, lighters are never going to last as long as you want them to. The Vector is a little bit better, and I've had this Vector, which I bought at Illusion Glass Galleries, where I'll be later tonight. I bought this Vector at Illusions over a year ago. Now, it did kind of break on me. The child safety broke, and the valve broke, and I had to take it apart, and it works. But here's the thing, Vector has a lifetime guarantee. So if you mail it back to Vector, they'll repair it and send it back to you, right? And I've done that for the shipping and handling. I've done that a few times with other Vector lighters because I own a few of them, right? I decided I didn't need to do it for my torch because I like it the way it is. But you cannot do that with the Bed Bath & Beyond torch, probably. It's probably not the same kind of lifetime warranty, whereas
Creme brulee.
this one does, right?
I've
So
been using this 10 times a day for the last 6 months. I want my money back.
I have to say, I am really satisfied with my Vector torch, and I paid full retail for it at
I feel like-
Illusions, and I could have.
How much was that?
That was $65 when I bought it. Okay, and I could have.
broken, though.
I just explained that. Did you not just anyway?
I was spacing out. I wasn't really.
I could have taken it back to Illusions and asked them to repair it, and they would have totally done that for me. But I didn't want to bug them about it. I just I'm fine. It's fine.
It's actually better. It's childproofing. But I used to think that
If I
it
had
was not
a toddler in the house, it'd be different. But I have a girl who's old enough to know how to really get in trouble. So
I used to think that it was only a cosmetic difference, but I'm starting to think that there might somehow be some better innards.
maybe, yeah.
I mean, it's
The
like,
outers are definitely a little better.
it's got the same grooves and the same spots for the nuts and the springs and the vents, and it's like it's. Did Vector copy the creme brulee torch, or did the creme brulee copy Vector?
That's a really good, I'm not sure.
The same company.
Yeah, they're probably assembled very similarly.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so can you go to that factory and be like, I want it? Can you make me the next model up? I want a little better innards.
You know what? There are plenty of torches
What's the
on the
name
market.
of that factory? I want to buy 100 of them.
I would love a Puff and Dabs torch. When it
sick.
occurred to me when I first got stickers, because I had some stickers that I got from, they were just lying in my office. I'm like, stickers? What do the kids do with stickers? And I got this torch. I'm like, when it first occurred to me that I could decorate my torch with stickers, I was like, wow.
Did you feel like a kid again?
I did. And then I was introduced to Emerge. And I'm like,
So
oh my
awesome.
God.
Yeah.
Emerge is a really cool artist, and
Sick.
he makes Puff and Dabs torches, right? So he makes just the tripped outtiest, nicest sculpted torches.
tripped-outiest?
And he makes pendants, and he, like he tripped out someone's temp temple for him. A friend of mine's temp temple with bees. It's really cool. And you know what? I have a lot of respect for Emerge because he came up with his own process, right? So I have my oldest sister is an artist. She is a ceramicist, and she makes pottery, right?
Is that the term?
Yeah. She makes she's a potter, okay? She's a folk artist, right? But when I was a kid, she explained to me that how she came up with her own process.
That makes so much because you say muggles.
Yeah, potter muggles, yeah.
Muggles.
A muggle, you guys, I refer to people as muggles if they're not in the Denver community. If you're in the Denver community, then you're a wizard, right? But if you are, like, my wife is a muggle, right? Does my wife get high? Every once in a while, right? Is she experienced? Hells yeah, right? But she's not in the Denver community. She's a muggle.
But
right?
It's not an elitist thing. It's not like you have to.
Oh, no, it's totally elitist because that's what I am. I'm a narcissist and an elitist, right?
Well, you are, but I don't, the community in general. I think.
No, the community here is anyone can become a member of the Denver community. All you got to do is show up, right? If you come to Illusion Glass Galleries tonight, you are no longer a muggle. It's as simple as that.
Right
if
on.
you know where the party is and you have the gumption to show up, you're a wizard. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. If you go to the Hood Labs and you have a good time, you're a wizard.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. It's time to take a break. We'll be back in a couple minutes with more Reefer Gladness Radio.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it. On grass. Runongrass.com.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding. Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
Green Faith Ministry is for spiritual guidance, MMJ information, and networking combined with compassionate care on the way to enlightenment with all Green Faith sacraments. Green Faith provides charity assistance, including medical and food throughout the year. Contact them at greenfaithministry.com.
Reefer Gladness Radio.
Reefer Gladness Radio. Gladness.
I mean, we debated about the Reefer Madness name, and I like it. And
Yeah.
I think we'll keep it in the long term.
Of course.
But
in honor of our friends Rev Jeremy Charles and Lunchbox, who had a deep discussion on Facebook today regarding the term Reefer Madness, and in honor of them, we're gonna dedicate the rest of the show as Reefer Gladness Radio. And here in Denver, we are feeling the gladness tonight, and I want to acknowledge JMW420 online says, I am in the Denver community via YouTube. Abso-fucking-lutely, right? If all it means is you're in the know. If you're in the know, if you're somehow in the know, then you're not a muggle, right? My muggle friends are the people who will like only get high when their friend Citizen J shows up, right?
Are you an enabler, Jay? I'm sure.
It's true. I am.
I like that you said.
Yeah. What can I say? Oh man, did I show you guys this? I want to give my friend Giddy Up and my friend Bird a shout out on this. This is show people this, Chris, if you would. This is a new kind of pen that I got before Christmas from those guys. It's called an Apex, and they're not available on the market yet, so I can't really tell you where to get them. But I love it. I've only had to charge it one time since I've had it, and I've had it for a couple weeks now.
It looks tripped out.
It's really heavy. It's got a ceramic and titanium heating element. It has interchangeable elements. So you can smoke juice out of it if you're into like e-juice. There's an attachment for that. There's an attachment for smoking flour out of it.
E-juice.
So someone pointed out to me, if you hold it like this, it's angled to look like a pipe.
That actually looks better.
And it works great. It really works great. I put wax and shatter in here, and the temperature is just right. I just want to love it. So I want to give my friend Giddy Up a big shout out and say, thanks, man. I'm really digging this thing. And as soon as I find out where they're available, I will let people know.
He's probably
Apex,
not
man.
watching. I'm just kidding. Everybody's watching.
Let me hit that, Jay.
Do it.
Right on, dude.
Yeah.
Party on, Jay.
Party on, man. No, I mean it's there's a lot of regulation associated with this whole industry, but that's what's kept most of the federal government away. Like, the fact that we're limiting people from out of state to a quarter. Well,
Right.
you can go to the next shop, buy another quarter. What they called that, which I think is hilarious, was smurfing.
Smurfing.
Which I looked on. If you have
great.
children, maybe let's pause. Try to have them kind of do something for the next 10 seconds. But Urban Dictionary, smurfing was taking your dick and slapping somebody on the head with it.
Really?
Yeah.
I
Smurfing.
see.
So anyway, smurfing, buying a quarter and then buying another quarter and then another quarter and another quarter.
It's like slapping
lot.
your dick in the face of the law.
Yeah. So
Most definitely.
most definitely. So that's still better than buying an ounce and then an ounce and then an ounce and then an ounce. And actually,
Look,
probably
if
the
a
federal
police
government.
officer finds you with more than a quarter of an ounce on you, and you are not a Colorado resident, on any given day, at any given moment, you are breaking the law.
No. Is anyone?
Oh, I think you're allowed to have up to an ounce on you.
have up to an ounce.
I'm
but
sorry,
like,
but if you have more than an ounce, forget it.
if you have your sealed package with your name on it and a receipt, and it has
comment
an
about package here.
and it has a half an ounce in there, then yeah, you're in trouble, and the people that sold it to you are in trouble. Because you're not supposed to be able to buy up to a quarter at a time.
Don't get people in trouble, right? That's
No, I
such a great thing. It's such a simple thing, and man, it's happening right now. This is it. This is first Friday in Denver, 2014. Right when I explained to my mother-in-law that tonight was January 3rd, the first Friday of 2014.
she wanted to come.
She actually did want to come, but more importantly, she took pity on me and understood that I really needed to be out there with my community tonight.
The community.
So she's got Citizen H. And you guys, speaking of Citizen H, I got something new from Citizen H. I got this totally chill bracelet. And if you know any cool kids in elementary school, then you know what these are. But if you are in the Denver community and you know Citizen H, then you have one of these or will soon be getting one. So, oh, yours has been ordered, my friend. Ha 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 ha. Yours is coming. But yeah, so there you go. Citizen H accessories.
Even she has
It's
high
awesome.
demand.
They will be 100% free, kid made, just for you by Citizen H. You only get them from Citizen H. So come to Denver. Unless, if you have an elementary school kid, then you can have your own, right? Or if you have a nephew, niece, neighbor, right? I'm not trying to, I'm just trying to support the cool kids, hey?
No, that thing's cool.
Right on.
There's
Smurfing is a negative word in the media's eye. That's a good point because we really do have the eye of the world on us is obvious to people. So that's why we're saying be chill.
I wonder what the police or people, not police, just any person that doesn't want people smoking weed. If they sees all these lines and all these people that are about to smoke weed. Not to mention that this whole smurfing idea is not possible. You are able to go in to one dispensary a day, probably, right? Unless you bring in 10 buddies, they'll buy a quarter, and then you all drive home. You're not able to buy a pound and drive back to Nebraska or drive back to New Jersey.
That's not
possible.
Did you see that Facebook post from the Wyoming State Highway Patrol that was like, don't bring that legal bud to Wyoming. And I'm just
my
like
God.
we're all just dying to go to Wyoming, right? It's your people in Wyoming who want to come here, my friend. And Wyoming, I actually looked this up with my friend last night. I was with Paul Token. We had this conversation. And we looked it up. Wyoming is, in fact, the 51st least populated state in the union. It is last, dead last. There are less people in Wyoming than there are in the city of Aurora.
I know that the Wyoming Bureau of Tourism, like the one person that works there, probably called the person that made that Facebook post. Like,
I was like,
dude,
please,
stop that. Come on.
You know what?
Like, I know you had to enforce the law, but let's not make a big deal about it.
Unless you know exactly where you want to go in Wyoming, because there are some beautiful things. Devil's Tower, right?
Miles and miles of nothing. but
Great
miles and miles of
fishing
nothing.
in the spearfish. Lake Glen? No. Glendo? No. You know what? The Tetons, Yellowstone. You want to go there? Sure, that's great, right? I mean, there are some beautiful places, but basically, when you get to Wyoming, the thing you do is accelerate, right? When you get to Wyoming, you accelerate. Because there's nothing to see there.
But
There's
Ranger
nothing
Jim
to do
is gonna
there.
bust you for your weed. Drive the speed limit, people. How hard is it to go a mile an hour under the speed limit? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
think the
if
point
you
I'm
do not
making
commit
is-
a crime, you cannot get pulled. Like, you know what I mean?
I
Check
think
your
the point I'm
lights.
making is I'm reinforcing
Turn
what you
signals.
guys are saying. Like, there's not a lot of reason to go to Wyoming in the first place. So they're not helping themselves. Yeah, it is. That's Jackson Hole. Yeah, there you go. Okay, you can go skiing in Jackson Hole. Sure, there are a couple of beautiful things to see in Wyoming. That's why I say if you know where you're going in Wyoming, sure. But otherwise,
Wyoming, stop here on your way to someplace better.
like jail, for example, because I'm pretty sure jail might be better. And if you take weed into Wyoming, I'm sure they'll show you.
Good tour.
Anyway, I think that's funny. It's like the rest of the country, are they really afraid of legal cannabis? That's what I want to know. Are people afraid? What do they think? Do they really think that something bad is going to happen? Like, we have liquor stores on almost every other corner in, not only in Denver, every city in Colorado, every city, hell, in D.C., right, where I came from. In Maryland, it's everywhere except Montgomery County. It's the only dry county in Maryland.
Yeah, there will still always be more places in Colorado to buy liquor than there will be to buy weed.
And actually, I was on some news site earlier, I forget which, and someone asked, what about driving while stoned? Well, actually, there was a really well-publicized study from a Fox affiliate in L.A. just last year where they did an experiment on a closed course with 3 different people, one who had no experience with cannabis, one who had some experience, and one who was a total head like you and me, right? And
Speak for yourself. I'm just kidding.
they put them with professional driving instructors, and they rated them, and they made them go through this course, and they had them smoke a small amount and increase the amount during the course of the day and make them redo it, right? The stone driver, the wizard, if you will, drove the course, of course, the best. She had no problem with the course at all. At the very end, when she was, finally medicated, then she drove it a little slower, but she didn't make any mistakes.
I watched a video.
The guy who had some experience, he drove really slow, but he didn't make any mistakes. And the guy with no experience, okay, he maybe shouldn't be behind the wheel, right? But to say that they don't know it's just wrong. They do know. The studies have been done. It's just that our government doesn't want you to know that it's been done. They won't cite any studies that haven't been done in the United States. And the only agency that funds any kind of studies about cannabis will only give you money if you can prove something negative to support their propaganda. That's the National Institute of Drug Addiction, I think, the NIDA, I believe, right?
I did not know.
It's all connected, people. It's like look, when you get to a certain age, you got to realize why politics are important, because it's all connected. What they teach you in math class, it's all connected. It's all connected. What they teach you in math class in high school
Uh-huh.
and how much you pay for weed and how that's determined by not the voters voting for the tax, but the back deal lawyers that put the tax deal together.
The
right?
amount of regulation, I'm sort of impressed. Like, I guess there's some weird things that we have to do that I'm like, why? But then there's other things that's like, wow, people thought of this. This is kind of interesting. Like, it's a weird industry of.
You know, praise those people. In Colorado, the people who thought of it were really smart. They thought out every contingency they could think of, and they came up with a system that allows for profit, keeps the feds at bay, has good regulations. There have been bumps and curves thrown at us along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, my favorite dispensaries went belly up when the new regulations came out a couple years ago, when all my biker friends had to like close shop and sell, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they were no longer allowed to own dispensaries. I'm like, fuck.
Not to mention the residual things. Like, we are now having to buy more packaging. We're having to buy more plastic from companies that have nothing to do
Until
with
the
weed.
plastics are made from hemp, that is a
Whatever.
problem.
We're gonna, we're trying to hire. We've already hired 3 people. We're gonna hire more people. Like, the whole economy of Colorado and Denver, the amount of people that are like seeing these lines, like, oh shit, like let's buy a retail space, let's start medical. Like, if it takes us 5 years to get to recreational, and we spend a bunch of money on fees and blah blah blah, like you'll eventually make your money back because it's so popular. Like, I feel like we're going to see a lot of residual benefits.
We will see residual benefits. We're lighting the way. I think change is going to start to gain momentum because we're going to show people the way. And it's going to be a good thing. There have been no riots, right? Everybody's happy.
Mm-hmm.
We are in a position to witness this, to testify, right? On New Year's Day, I made the point, we did this in Denver, in Colorado. We, the voters, the people, the stoners, the non-stoners, the reasonable people, the critical thinkers, the people who are tired of paying through the nose for an industry that's really just about slavery, right? We did this. We are proud of what we did. We are going to reap benefits from this. We're going to reap social benefits because new generations will be raised without the fear of incarceration just because of a plant and maybe the color of their skin, right? We get to reverse a lot of the negativity. We've let people out of jail in Colorado. There's no one in our jails who's just there for pot anymore. They were let go, right? So we're not paying the $40,000 a year per prisoner for those people. The prison companies threatened counties in Colorado this year that if they didn't start filling the prisons, they would shut the prisons down. Right? That's what the private companies, right? We would be in breach of contract and we would owe them lots of money. You know what? Pay them the money and make them go away. I'm tired of my tax money going to the slave owners, right? These private corporations are run by people who think it's okay to throw people in jail for no other reason than they had a joint behind their ear for 10 years and make those people work for pennies an hour, whether it's manufacturing, sales, whatever, right? And they reap millions upon hundreds of millions of dollars a year from this slave manufacturer force that we, the taxpayers, subsidize because of the plant. And it's wrong, and everyone knows it's wrong.
But there's a lot of all drugs should be legalized. There's a lot of, nonviolent offenses. We shouldn't be putting people in prison for.
I'm happy to start with cannabis, my friend. Sure. Let's open the can of worms before we pry the whole thing, right? There's a lot to be talked about, but here we are, setting the example. The sky has not fallen. The police have not turned stormtrooper on us.
No, there's been no federal.
We don't have any tanks rolling through Denver.
I'm sure the people that are, the tax money coming in, we're going to have some kick-ass schools. It's gonna be
right?
awesome.
We're gonna. It's like the first 40-some thousand or 40 million some dollars goes directly to schools, and you know what? They're going to be so flush that they'll find other ways to spend that money, like on roads and parks. Right now in Colorado, our lottery money all goes to the Colorado State Historic Fund, right? So every time you buy a Colorado lottery ticket, you are funding environmental preservation and cultural resource management in Colorado, right? Our state has more money for parks and recreation than any other state in the union because that's where we decided to put our lottery taxes, right? We have thinking people in Colorado who think through these things. That's why our medical marijuana worked so well. That's why our recreational is going to work so well, and it's going to be a boon to everybody. We've come to the end of our hour. It is
I feel
First
bad for
Fridays.
Washington.
Washington will have its own boon. They're right behind us,
I mean,
right?
yeah, no, I feel, honestly, I feel bad, but it's more like I'm excited. I feel bad that they don't have it now, but I know
feel
that they're
bad
going to be
for
overwhelmed.
Idaho. I don't feel bad for Washington. I feel bad for Idaho. I feel bad for Wyoming. I feel bad for Alabama and Kansas, right? The place, North Carolina, the places where I know they're just going to keep their heads in the sand as long as they can, where those industries are rooted. All right, you guys, enjoy First Friday 2014. I will see you at Hood Lab tonight. I will see you at Illusion Glass Gallery tonight. I will see you throughout the year. And remember, if you can hear my voice right now, you are a wizard. Keep on token, everybody.
Peace.
See you guys.